You can go.
I am the forest. I take in your pollution and give you clean air, purify your water and protect your shores. Yet you continue to cut me down, releasing carbon into the air and heating this planet. While some of you stand with me, most of you turn your backs on me. But I am resilient. Let me grow, and we can solve your climate problem together. When one tree falls, you might not hear it. But when millions fall, I assure you, you will feel it.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of Climate Action Fortnight. Really powerful video there, hopefully, that's got people thinking already around kind of our climate emergency and what we need to do to support nature. So today, I'm very pleased to sort of introduce myself. I'm Lee Jowett, the Sustainable Schools Coordinator here at the Council. And also we've got Amy in the background who's supporting with our technology today. And you will get to meet Amy later on during our week. So today is our Biodiversity Day, and I'm very pleased to say that we've got 2 speakers today. We've got Myra Craig, who people may know as Bird Girl, who has kindly sent us a video talking a little bit about biodiversity and lots of some of the issues around nature. We've also got Sarah Staunton Lamb from Earthwatch Europe, who will be presenting live today. And we've also got a very brief trailer of The Promise, which is our activity for today. So the video itself is only a minute long for the trailer, and the video of The Promise is about 8 minutes with some other extra activities in there. So it does come about a 20-minute altogether with lots of activities and resources in there to use at school. So I'm going to introduce Myra Craig as our first speaker for today. Maya's kindly sent us a video talking all about nature. So we're going to play that video from YouTube that's about 5 minutes and hope you find it really interesting.
Hi, I'm Myra Craig, and I'm an 18-year-old environmental campaigner and activist. I'm also a birdwatcher, and I blog under the name of Bird Girl, which I've been doing for about 6 years now. I've been birdwatching all of my life, literally. My parents have been taking me out since I was a baby, but I contribute part of that to my older sister, who was also a birdwatcher and a massive role model for me growing up. But because I've always been birdwatching, I have an incredibly strong connection to nature, which is a really important part of my life. And I've always felt the need to fight for the environment and fight for nature and biodiversity. Through my blog, Bird Girl, I never expected anyone to read it, but I was given a massive platform. And when more and more people started to read my blog, started to follow me on social media, I decided that I wanted to do some good with it. I wanted to create positive change. I started campaigning about all of the issues that I cared about and trying to either raise funds, raise awareness, or just help in some shape or form. And over again, I started contributing positively to these issues. I was really young, I was 12 at the time, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I just wanted to do some good, and I did. And it wasn't about knowing what I was doing or anything like that. It was literally just being stubborn and trying my best, and it worked. And that's all it takes a lot of the time. My big project, which I've been doing for about 5 years now, is all about diversity in nature and the kinds of people going out into nature. I started my project when I was 13 years old, and again, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never run a project, I'd never started an organisation, but again, I knew I wanted to create positive change, and I knew that because no one else was talking about this issue, I had to. I felt a responsibility, and so I started to, and even though it was really difficult and it was a massive learning curve, I have been doing this campaign for about 5 years now, and I've created massive change. I've managed to shift an entire sector and its attitudes towards diversity. I've started conversations in the environmental and climate change movement, and the change is still happening. And the lesson of it all isn't really that you need a massive platform online or you need to start a blog or anything like that. It's literally just, if you try hard enough, if you care enough about an issue, you should try and create change, because a lot of the time you'll succeed. My campaign for diversity in the environmental sector has involved loads of things. I've started an organisation called Black to Nature, which I've been running since I was 14, which has done loads of campaigning within the nature sector and worked with loads of really big organisations like Natural England, the Wildlife Trust and the RSPB. But I've also been running nature camps since I was 14. And this is the bit that was scariest when I was younger, because I'd never done anything like it before. And when I started, it felt like it was a bit of a disaster. It felt like it was a bit of a mess, and I was just terrified. And then I was in too deep. I felt like I couldn't stop at that point, so I just carried on pushing, carried on trying, and after a few days on that first camp, it all started to work out. And personally, I think that diversity and the types of people going out into the countryside, having that opportunity, working in the nature sector, is so important, because of mental and physical health, because of we need to have different voices contributing to the environmental movement. We're on the edge of an environmental crisis at the moment, but also because people don't deserve to be left out of areas, out of groups, because people deserve to have the opportunity to go out into green spaces. And as someone who's half Bangladeshi and has had those opportunities growing up, I felt it was so important. And as someone who is half Bangladeshi, I also care massively about the issue of climate change. Bangladesh is one of the worst affected countries in the world in terms of climate change at the moment, and people, including my own family, are suffering majorly. I've been campaigning on the subject of global climate justice for years now, which is basically talking about how the West has created climate change, and we're palming off all of the hurt, all of the suffering and difficulties onto people in the global South, particularly people with very little resources and very little money. And I think it's so important personally to remember the human side of these environmental issues, which is what my campaigning's been all about. But my campaigning has also led me to some very exciting places. Only last month I was up in the Arctic with Greenpeace doing campaigning on climate change and biodiversity loss. As the Arctic melts, massive new swathes of oceans opened up that have no protection, where people want to do fishing and mining and other terrible human activities that will harm the animals. And we were fighting to protect these areas. But I also went up there to do the world's most northerly youth climate strike ever, to try and make an impact and to try and, I suppose, make a statement to show that despite everything, the youth aren't going to be quiet about climate change. We still care, and we still want positive change in the right direction. And it spread in a way that I had never imagined. I didn't think that newspapers all over the world were going to pick it up. I just knew that I wanted to make a statement, and that was all that mattered, really. The most important message to take away from this is that no matter how big or small the issue is, it's so important that you try and create positive change. All you have to remember is the good old saying, if not now, when, or if not me, who? I think it's young people's responsibility to try and make the world that we're going to inherit a better place. So go out there and create the change that you want to see.
So that's Myra Rose, which is absolutely brilliant. Some really, really useful ideas in there to think about. And I hope that a lot of our young people in Leicester can apply some of that knowledge to sort of their own environment and things. So I'm very pleased to introduce our next speaker, who is Sarah Staunton-Lamb, who is the Senior Education and Learning Manager at Earthwatch. We've worked with Sarah for a number of years, and I know that Earthwatch have done a lot of really interesting projects around biodiversity and engaging people around citizen science. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Sarah, who's going to give our next presentation from Earthwatch.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Lee. And really nice to see Myra Rose speaking there. We did a lot of work with Myra Rose over the summer. She supported our our Wild Days campaign, which was all around getting people connected to nature, and she's been a fantastic inspiration in terms of providing videos and images for us to use. So great that she's been involved today, and feel quite privileged that I shared the stage with us today. So I'm here to just give you a bit of a sort of a snapshot really about Earthwatch and science and how that all connects in with climate change. So Earthwatch is an environmental organisation, and we connect people, planet through science effectively, and we do that through research. And I as part of this session, I kind of read the definitions. I reread the definitions around what is research, and actually it's perfect for this session. So the verb is to investigate systematically, or the noun is the systematic investigation of stuff to establish facts and to reach new conclusions. So I think where Earthwatch is coming from this is that research helps you understand what you've got, what it is that's out there, so you can make informed decisions, you can take actions, and you can protect some of the things that Myra was talking about. And I think where Earthwatch fits into this is valuing and understanding that in order to protect stuff, you've kind of got to know what stuff you've got in the first place. And some of the real impacts that we've seen over the last couple of decades where climate change has had a real impact on what we've got, it's the research behind the scenes, the systematic investigation of studying the numbers or the species or the amount of land that we're losing that's helping make some informed decisions about maybe coming up with some of the solutions going forward. So what we've always been champions of is something called citizen science. And I wanted to just kind of throw it out there to you for a minute and just kind of think about, what do you think citizen science might be? There's sort of two really interesting words sort of playing together there, and it's something that Earthwatch has been a real champion of. And it's basically around the practice of public participation and collaboration, so working together in scientific research to increase scientific knowledge. And through citizen science, people share and contribute to data monitoring collection programs. So you think about all the stuff that's out there, all the plants, all the animals, all the places where they live, and how much information we would need a scientist would need to collect in order to get all that information in the first place. And citizen science is where we find ways to engage people, lots of people, in supporting the science that we do, so that we get much more information. And it also gives individuals a connection to the planet that they're on. Now, Naturehood is one of Earthwatch's citizen science projects and is very much focused on your space, your bit of the planet just now. So Myra had talked a little bit about how she's had the great opportunity to travel around the world and see some of the big challenges facing our planet. But actually, there's a lot of challenges being faced today in the UK. One of the reasons why we started Naturehood, which is it's a community project really, working together to help reverse wildlife decline, and it was pretty much a result of the State of Nature report. There was an original one in 2016, and there was another one in 2019, which gave some really worrying and distressing statistics. So basically, over the past 50 years, 40% of all the species in the UK have declined in number. And there's all sorts of reasons behind this, but there's a lot in terms of pressure from climate change, in terms of pollution, in terms of the way that we're treating our planet. And 15% of species in Great Britain are now at risk of extinction. So the idea behind Naturehood was to encourage individuals, communities, schools, churches, faith groups to start recording the wildlife that you've got, then make some positive actions and some changes for wildlife, and then record again. So it's this idea of the research, so this ongoing systematic approach to understanding what we have. And when we can start seeing those changes, we can see what works, what doesn't work, what we need to do better. So what kind of actions are involved in Naturehood? Well, they can be anything from sort of planting trees, or putting in pollinating plants for those bees and those butterflies. It can also be thinking about other homes for wildlife. So the hedgehog this time of year Hopefully you've made plenty of leaf piles and places for them to hide away for winter. But it's also around not using things, so not using pesticides, not mowing, doing a whole lot of really practical action to encourage the wildlife back into your gardens, into our communal spaces. Now, hopefully quite a few of you have had a go at some citizen science projects. I know the RSPB's Great Big Garden Birdwatch is always a familiar one, and there's a special week for schools to do that as well. There's the butterfly count. There's a whole range of things that you can get involved in out there, and hopefully you've had a go at them. I'd encourage you to have a go at Naturehood. You can log on and set up an account online, and basically it gives you all the information and resources that you need to start recording the wildlife that you've got and taking some positive actions. If you're a particular fan of hedgehogs, there's a live question and answer session tomorrow evening with Hugh Warwick, sometimes known as the Hedgehog Man, that you can access via Facebook Live. Just search for @Naturehood Earthwatch and you'll be able to track that down. And yeah, if you've got all those sort of questions, those burning questions that you have about how you might help those hedgehogs in your garden, it's a great session to get involved in. But I think I'm going to sort of stop there and basically throw the call to action back to you, a bit like Myra Rose. So why don't you and your school start thinking about taking some actions for wildlife? If you visit the Earthwatch website or the Naturehood website, you'll get lots of ideas about real practical steps that you can take. And to keep your teachers happy, all the opportunities and all the activities can be linked back to the national curriculum. So you can make sure that you're doing your schoolwork as well as supporting wildlife that's out there. And if you have any other questions about things that you might do, then please feel free to share them with us. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sarah. Some really interesting ideas there. I know quite a few of our schools have been involved with citizen science, either through Earthwatch, certainly the Big Bird Garden project. So I know it's something that we're kind of keen to do lots more in Leicester, finding out how much wildlife have we got and how can we improve that, how can we increase that, as well as kind of the mitigation around climate change and kind of all the other issues as well. So definitely fits together sort of very carefully and very clearly around kind of those things. So that's great. Thank you very much. What we'll do now is go back on to looking at our next activity, which we'll just share on screen. And that is all to do with The Promise, which is a film that came out only a couple of weeks ago, actually, very recently. And The Promise has been produced in conjunction with the BBC. And it's a book that maybe some of you have already read at school, or something that will be in the library. So we had a look at this ourselves the other week, and really interesting. Propose that. Some really interesting ideas. So we're just going to play the trailer just as a bit of a taster, and this is the activity for today. And even if you don't get a chance to do it today, it may be something that you could watch online yourselves, or certainly something you could watch as a class. And there's lots of screening activities that go with this. So we'll play the trailer and see what people think.
Sorry, Lee, we can't hear it.
Apologies, right, let me just stop sharing and I'll put it back up again. I'm glad somebody told me. Just bear with me.
Right.
Right, we'll try that again.
When I was young, I lived in a city that was mean and hard and ugly. And I was mean and hard and ugly too.
If you promise to plant them, I'll let go.
All right, I promise. Acorns. I understood the promise I had made.
So that is The Promise, which is available online right now, and you can get a link to that through our information booklet. So just to mention of a couple of other things that are available, linking back to books and stories. So during our fortnight, our wonderful colleagues at Leicester Libraries have made 2 special stories as part of their sort of online resource of materials. I know they've done a lot of work over summer for schools. So they've got 2 environmentally themed story books that they've read through their library service, and that's available on our website as well. And also we've been working with Climate Action Leicester and Leicestershire to produce a recommended list of books for primaries and secondary schools all around climate change and climate justice. So there's about 10 books for each key stage, and those are books that we've either read or we've had really good recommendations from. Really up to date, including our library services have been involved in some of those recommendations, and again they're available on our website. So if you're thinking, what do we do next, how can we get more people involved, then certainly looking at some of those books and having looked to buy some of those for the school library. And also our library service have put together an e-book list as well, so for students that have got access to our libraries, if you can't get there at the moment, we've got options of looking at some of the e-books that you can download onto tablets and other sort of e-readers and things. So they're all available through our schools website, which is schools.leicester.gov.uk/Climate Action Fortnight 2020. So if that's been really interesting, tomorrow we've got our Healthy Living Day, and for our Healthy Living Day we've got Jess, who works for the council and for the NHS, and she'll be talking about healthy low carbon lunches and how that helps the environment as well as your health. We've got Amir Hussain, who's from De Montfort University, with Lisa Didier, again looking at healthy eating and again how you can eat a healthy lifestyle as well as a low carbon kind of attitude to eating. And we've got an activity around our carbon miles for food. And tomorrow evening for school staff, we've got our climate emergency teach meet, which is all about, again, for adults and school staff, finding out a bit more about how you could engage with the climate emergency in school. So I think the very last thing just to finish today, for those that were looking yesterday at the quiz, we've got 3 questions for today's quiz. So I'll read these out, and don't forget, at the end of the fortnight, there'll be an option to put all your answers up on our e-form and submit for an amazing prize. So question 1, which of these would encourage biodiversity in a garden or school grounds? Would it be A, a bench, B, a bug hotel, or C, a swing? Question 2, the turtle dove has declined by how much since 1970? Is it A, 97%, B, 50%, or C, 23%? And the last question, how many species of butterfly are there in the UK? Is it 59, is it 79, or is it 99? So I think probably at least 1, if not 2 of those questions, you might have to go and do some research. So that's our 3 questions for today. So don't forget, if you didn't have a chance to see yesterday's, that's up on our YouTube channel, and you can get those and all of them from the booklet. If you talk to your teachers, they're available right now. So as always, we'd love to find out what you're up to and how you're getting on with Climate Action Fortnight. So do share any of your sort of activities or any things that's happening in school through our Facebook, our Twitter and our Instagram accounts. And obviously everything that we've got during the fortnight will be going up on our YouTube channel, including our amazing Sustainable Schools evening that was last night, where we had over 50 attendees on the call, and we handed out over 25 different awards. So massive congratulations to our winners from last night. And if you want to find out all about that, again, just go on our website or on our YouTube channel, and that's available now. And don't forget, if you do post anything, use the hashtag #ClimateActionLE, and we'll be able to catch those and we'll share those with the people and find out what you're doing. So that's the end of our climate action morning today and our presentations. Particularly thank you to Myra and to Sarah for sharing and presenting all around biodiversity. As always, if you want to get in touch, do let us know by email, which is eco-schools@leicester.gov.uk, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you very much and have a great day.